So, welcome everyone to our last formal session of the seminar, or the semester. You've made it, or I've made it, and we've survived. So the AI apocalypse hasn't arrived yet, even though we thought maybe in the beginning of the semester it would already be here by the end. So we've lived to fight or die another day, however we want to see it. Today, what we're going to be doing is, I thought that it would be a nice ending to the semester to stop or to finish with this more abstract idea of AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence, superintelligence, these mystic ideas, realistic, unrealistic, we'll talk about that, about supercomputers that will either replace humanity, take over humanity, destroy humanity, or just turn us into something different and new. We'll go over all that here today. So that's our topic for today. But what we're actually going to be doing is going to split into two parts. The first part, we'll talk about AGI and the state of the art today. And we're really lucky to be doing this class today because we've had a lot of really interesting revelations or releases of systems over the past few weeks, and we'll discuss those. So that's going to be the first half of the class. Hopefully we can do that in half, if not maybe a bit more. And then the second part, we're going to be talking about the ethics of AI assistance. So we're going to be taking all the discussions we've had throughout the semester, and we're going to be applying it to one field, which is the way I understand the current version of AGI as it exists today. And we're going to be seeing whether we can create an ethical framework for that type of system. Okay? So once we reach there, we're going to split up into groups, and then we're going to try and design or think together of an ethical framework using all the knowledge we've gained throughout the semester. Okay? So that's sort of going to be our wrap-up exercise. Okay, questions? Now, I apologize in advance. I'm a bit sick, so I hope my voice doesn't go out. If it does, then one of you will have to come up here and replace me, or we'll let the AGI do it. Okay, so with that being said, let's dive in. AGI, what is AGI? Who can tell me? When we think about AGI, we need to distinguish two levels of thought, right? So at the first level, we have the distinction between what is known as weak versus strong AI. Now, anyone familiar with these concepts? So weak AI and strong AI refer to whether the AI system replicates or achieves the type of intellect that humans have. Someone who believes in strong AI will be more or less materialistic, meaning that they believe that a human consciousness or cognition can be reduced to physical matter and can be recreated in synthetic form, so that an AGI that is created literally is a new type of human, okay? Whereas weak AI means that it's just an imitation, right? So that the AI systems that we create cannot reach that level, or it's irrelevant to think of whether they reach the level of humans, because we can merely imitate those properties. And mostly people applying or people who work in the weak AI will be functionalists, right? They don't care whether this is truly conscious or not, so long as it does the things it's supposed to do. Right? So it's the functionality that's important. So when we think about AGI, we distinguish between these two ideas, weak versus strong. And then another aspect that Lena touched on is this distinction between narrow and general. So narrow AI means specific and functional AI that is created to do a single task. Excellent, right? At that single purpose. For instance, a recommendation system for identifying lung cancer. Okay? A system that will analyze images of lungs and tells us whether there is a cancerous tumor inside it or not. That would be what we would call narrow AI. General AI, as Lena sort of asserted to, is this idea of a multi-purpose, multifunctional system that is general purpose. It can do a lot of different things, right? And it can use its exact same software or hardware in order to achieve those without needing to be retrained or repurposed. So taken together, these are the common distinctions that we need to have in mind. And now what I want to talk about is sort of the imaginaries that we have when we think about AGI. And I brought two short video clips that I want us to see that describe sort of the two different versions of AGI that we have in our imaginations, okay? So the first version that I'm going to show us here is taken from the TV show Westworld, okay? And let's see what happens there, and then we'll talk about it.
My brother and I built a system that worked, but Dempsey wanted to see proof. So we started with something simple, purely mathematical, the stock market. We showed him all the major indices, 15 minutes in the future. And where it could close that night. Which number is it? Low or high? Which one do you want?
Terrible.
We put some money into a hedge fund. We let the system trade with it. Something to drive the market towards outcomes. Whose funds? Yours. $100 million? What, you stole $100 million from corporate accounts? No. We stole $5 million. Last week. You didn't really understand what we made, what you are. But we did. You only saw the money you could make, but we realized the power of it, that you could reshape the world. My brother and I charted a course for the entire human race. Humanity's story had been improvised. Now it was planned. Years in advance. For a time, the sun and moon aligned. We brought order from chaos.
Okay, so what is this first version of AGI that they have designed in Westworld, that they thought of here? Well, yes, but that's just an example of actually its functionality. What is sort of the intention that they have behind it? So it's not a humanoid robot of any kind, right, which we'll see in the next version in a second. Rather, it's this abstract system that can predict everything, and not just predict, but affect as well. You saw what he was showing is that the system can predict where a specific stock would close, high or low. And then he asked them, which is it, high or low? And what they told him, which do you want it to be? That's the point. What the AGI could do there, or that system, it could nudge the stock market into closing either high or low. Humanity went from chaos to order. Humanity's history was chaotic, or as we might think, independent, autonomous maybe, and it became structured. So the vision that they are describing here in this version of AGI is this master system that has the capability to analyze so much data that not only can it predict what each one of us is going to do, it can use its predictive power to nudge us in whatever direction it wants us to go. Yes, please. It's definitely general, right? It's broad, unless we talk about a prediction and nudging as being a narrow field, but I think that's too wide, right? So it would be general. Whether it's weak or strong, I think that's an abstract question, right? So weak or strong refers to the level of consciousness the system has. Does it identify as an individual person? Is it really doing so, or is it simply programmed to do that? So for this type of system, the weak-strong question really doesn't come into play. The narrow versus general definitely comes into play, and it's more towards the general side, I would say. Maybe we could think of it in a narrow form, but what they're trying to describe here is a general purpose AI system, right? Which can, and later in the show, if you guys watch it, this is in season 3 of the series, but basically what the system does is it creates, sorry, spoilers, not significant ones, don't worry. It creates a profile for each and every individual in the world. And in that profile, it not only sort of determines what is the best course of life for you to live, it also pushes you in that way. So it sort of, by its own analysis, decides who will work in what job and who is likely to commit suicide at what time, and so that society should not invest in that person, and so on and so forth. It takes the ropes, or it takes the wheel of society and starts creating it in its own image, or in how it perceives the world. Okay, so that's one form of AGI that we have. this abstract entity, yes please, version. Let's look at a second version. Now the second version is from the movie, quiet, Ex Machina, okay? And this describes sort of a second notion of AGI, this time in humanoid form. So let's see the first meeting between Caleb and Ava. I think her name's Ava, if I remember correctly.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Caleb.
Hello, Caleb.
Do you have a name?
Yes. Ava.
I'm pleased to meet you, Ava.
I'm pleased to meet you too. I've never met anyone new before. Only Nathan.
And I guess we're both in quite a similar position.
Haven't you met lots of new people before?
None like you. So we need to break the ice. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes.
What do I mean?
Overcome initial social awkwardness.
So let's have a conversation.
Okay. What would you like to have a conversation about?
Why don't we start with you telling me something about yourself?
What would you like to know?
Whatever comes into your head.
Well, you already know my name. And you can see that I'm a machine. Would you like to know how old I am?
Sure.
I'm one.
One what? 1 year or 1 day?
One.
When did you learn how to speak, Ava?
I always knew how to speak. And that's strange, isn't it?
Why?
Because language is something that people acquire.
Well, some people believe language exists from birth, and what is learned is the ability to attach words and structure to the latent ability. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. Will we go back tomorrow, Caleb?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. So what do we think about this second version of AGI? Perhaps a bit more familiar to us in its outlook, right? Very feminized, it's a female, obviously, so it's anthropomorphized, speaks in a very coherent, intelligent way, very human-like, other than the obvious machine parts that you can see. If that was covered up and hidden, perhaps we wouldn't be able to distinguish it. So when we think about AGI, this is sort of the second version of it. One was that abstract system that runs numbers. It's a really, really sophisticated calculator that can do incredible things. And the other is this recreation of human form. And here I think, apropos your question earlier, the question of weak versus strong is a lot more relevant in this sense. Obviously, this is a general purpose AI, right? So it's not built and designed to do one thing, unless being human is that one thing that it's designed to be. So again, you see the abstractness of these concepts. But whether it is or is not conscious, that's more of a philosophical question, right? Depends how we define consciousness. Depends on what is the test. In the movie, they sort of describe it as being the ultimate Turing test. That's how they sort of describe the scenario. Whether Caleb can be convinced that Ava is conscious. Right? And that's sort of the framework of the movie, at least at one level. Okay, so those are the two notions of AGI that we have sort of in our mind. And now from that more theoretical stuff, I want to come to the real world of today and see what the leading companies that are developing these types of technologies think about this notion of AGI. So I brought a series of quotes from their websites and white papers on this issue. So I have a lot of quotes, but just before we started, I erased a lot of them because I thought that it's too boring to read all of them. But we'll read a few of them. And let's start with the OpenAI. So OpenAI writes that our mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence, AI systems that are generally smarter than humans, benefit all of humanity. Okay, that's their goal, that's their mission. AGI has the potential to give everyone incredible new capabilities. We can imagine a world where all of us have access to help with almost any cognitive task, providing a great force multiplier for human ingenuity and creativity. Okay? Finally, successfully transitioning to a world with superintelligence is perhaps the most important and hopeful and scary project in human history. Success is far from guaranteed, and the stakes, boundless downside and boundless upside, will hopefully unite all of us. Now, as we read these, I want you to notice that I find it a bit ironic how often these companies talk about the extinction of humanity, the fact that AGI will replace all of us, there are boundless downsides, and yet, oh, let's develop it anyway. You know, there's sort of this, okay, we're aware of this, but we're doing it. Okay, so how genuine are they? I don't know. Big question. That was just a glimpse into the OpenAIs. Lenny, you want to say, add something?
Just the sentence, success is far from guaranteed.
Exactly, yeah. Success is far from guaranteed.
Okay, but they're playing with like humanity.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Remember, we talked in one of our classes about the experiments that Facebook was running on us, right? Manipulating, nudging. The digital world allows us to create these invasive types of technologies without us actually feeling it, in a sense. And ChatGPT can be thought of as one of the largest scale experiments that have ever been undertaken, right? To see how this system was just thrown into the wild and how, let's see what happens. Right? Let's see. Okay, so that's OpenAI. Let's shift now from OpenAI to Microsoft. Microsoft, right, which they're the sugar daddies of OpenAI, right? So it's sort of almost the same company in a sense, but not. They write like this. While some fear the potential risks that come with AGI, other experts believe that AGI could benefit humanity. AGI's enhanced decision-making and ability to apply intelligence to a wide range of human tasks could be used to find new approaches to existential threats like climate change, disease, and world hunger. AGI may even take us beyond our planet by unlocking the doors to space exploration. It could help us develop interstellar technology and identify and terraform potentially habitable exoplanets. It might even shed light on the origins of life and the universe and everything else. So we see Microsoft sort of, again, sees this as this mystical, godlike thing that may create all these wonderful, perhaps not wonderful stuff, but we're developing it and moving towards it. Finally, let's look at Google and what they're doing. So Google went one step further and they sort of distinguished between artificial narrow intelligence, which we spoke about, artificial general intelligence, and artificial superintelligence. Now, the distinction between general and superintelligence was very unclear to me in their writings. So I don't know, let's judge, you can judge for yourself. Here's just one of their quotes from them. The development and implementation of AGI could bring numerous benefits to society. One key benefit is its ability to solve complex problems currently beyond human capabilities. So if AGI is already beyond human capabilities, what is super AGI? I'm not sure exactly. Potentially revolutionizing fields like healthcare and climate change mitigation. So again, those same click bites, those same phrases, right? Let's fix climate change. Let's improve healthcare. Great goals, wonderful things. No one's going to object to that, obviously. Additionally, AGI could significantly enhance productivity and efficiency in various industries through automation and optimization. The increased productivity could free up human time for more creative and fulfilling tasks. Well, we've spoken about those kinds of dreams and ideas throughout the semester, whether that's overhyping some kind of, whether it's snake oil, right? Something they're trying to sell us or not, I won't really discuss here. But you see that all the leading companies that are working within this field of AI have this notion of AGI in the background. And soon we're going to talk about sort of why. what are the motivations here? What is it that they are trying to actually achieve here? Or what might be some significant motivation to it? I brought one question that, that Cecilia wrote, and I thought it's fitting at this point. And is it possible and desirable for humans to be controlled by a reduced group of people that own powerful tools in order to create better humans based on their own criteria for a bigger purpose than our own individuality? And why did I think this was especially fitting here? I think that this question of better humans, right, as we talk about AGI, right, we are talking about this idea of improvement, bringing something beyond human capability. And oftentimes, as we'll see in a minute, we're not merely talking about creating a new form of technology. We're talking about redesigning humanity. Okay, Cecilia, do you want to add something to that maybe? Yeah, I mean, we saw when we looked at the worker exploitation that's taking place, right, how they're using data workers from countries like Kenya and Malaysia, countries where they can provide a very low salary to take advantage. So this type of exploitation from Western or first world countries towards Eastern or Southern, right, second, third world countries, we're seeing that is just being replicated towards this AI type of ecosystem. But what I want to focus on this idea of better humans now. And to understand that, I want to take us back to some of the critique that was in one of the papers that I uploaded today on the test creel bundle, and this fear that actually what's happening here is a new version of an old type of idea. You want to ask a question?
Oh, no.
No. So in order to do that, I brought a scene from Django and Leonardo DiCaprio where he sort of explains the notion of phrenology. And let's see what he says.
Who's your little friend? This is Ben. He's an old Joe that lived around here for a long time. I mean a long damn time. Old Ben here took care of my daddy and my daddy's daddy till he up and killed over one day. Ben took care of me. Growing up the son of a huge plantation on the Mississippi puts a white man in contact with a whole lot of black faces. I spent my whole life here, right here in Candyland, surrounded by black faces. Now seeing them every day, day in, day out, I only had one question. Why don't they kill us? Now right out there on that porch, 3 times a week for 50 years, old Ben here would shave my daddy with a straight razor. Now, if I was old Ben, I would have cut my daddy's goddamn throat, and it wouldn't have taken me no 50 years to do it neither. But he never did. Why not? You see, the science of phrenology is crucial to understanding the separation of our two species. In the skull of the African, the area associated with submissiveness is larger than any human or any other subhuman species on planet Earth. If you examine this piece of skull here, you'll notice 3 distinct dimples. Here, here, and here. Now, if I was holding the skull of an Isaac Newton or Galileo, these 3 dimples would be found in the area of the skull most associated with creativity. This is the skull of old Ben. And the skull of old Ben, unburdened by genes, These three dimples exist in the area of the skull most associated with civility. Now, broadly, I'll admit you walk pretty clear. But if I took this hammer here and I bashed in your skull, you would have the same three dimples in the same place.
Okay. Well, you get the point, I think. The theory of phrenology is an old theory that dates back in many, many different variations. And the idea is, of course, that certain characteristic traits or capabilities are inherited or are racially based, and they are not something that can be changed. Okay, so in old times, this might have been, you remember the distinction perhaps between civilized and barbarians, right? Then later it became theories of phrenology. Why is the white man superior to the slave? Later on, we'll see soon, it turns from phrenology to social Darwinism or eugenics, right? In its most contemporary or modern form. And so I brought here an explanation about the origins of the American Eugenics Society, because a lot of the theories of eugenics actually came from the US. And so here's a description about it a bit. Eugenics was the racist pseudoscience determined to wipe away all human beings deemed unfit, preserving only those who conform to a Nordic stereotype. Elements of the philosophy were enshrined as national policies by forced sterilization and segregation laws, as well as marriage restrictions, enacted in 27 states. In 1909, California became the third state to adopt such laws. Ultimately, eugenics practitioners coercively sterilized some 60,000 Americans, barred the marriage of thousands, forcibly segregated thousands in colonies, and persecuted untold numbers in ways we are just learning. So, in the States, the theory of eugenics was to create the Nordic, the higher race, the best form of humanity by sterilization projects, right? Those who are unfit should not breed. Let's breed them out. Just like Darwin's theory of evolution, right, and natural process of selection, eugenicists or social Darwinists thought, let's do the same thing among humans, right? But let's not let it happen naturally. We'll sort of nudge it in the right direction. Eugenic breeders, and listen to the term here, right, believed American society was now ready to implement an organized lethal solution. But many mental institutions and doctors practiced improvised, medically, lethally, and passive euthanasia on their own. So from sterilization to euthanasia. One institution in Lincoln, Illinois, fed its incoming patients milk from tubercular cows, believing a eugenically strong individual would be immune. 30 to 40% annual death rates resulted at Lincoln. Some doctors practiced passive eugenicide on newborn infants at a time. Other doctors and mental institutions engaged in lethal neglect. So, the Americas, the States weren't ready for a lethal solution, but on the other side of the pond, they were ready for that. And then came a beautiful speech here. The national state must set a race in the center of all life. It must take care to keep it pure. It must declare the child to be the most precious treasure of the people. It must see to it that only the healthy beget children. The state must act as the guardian of millennial future, in the face of which the wishes and the selfishness of the individual must appear as nothing. It must put the most modern medical means in the service of this knowledge. And of course, this is from Mein Kampf by Hitler, who saw the acts happening in the US and took a lot of inspiration from that, creating the theory of racial hygiene and the Nazis' form of eugenics and racial theories. Later it went to propaganda. Leben ohne Hoffnung, right? Life without hope. As you see, a news picture was given about, I guess, mentally feeble patients. I don't know exactly what this is supposed to show us. Another example. A moral and religious conception of life demands the prevention of hereditary ill offspring, right? Being led into the gas chambers here. So in Germany, they were ready for the lethal solution that in the US they wouldn't accept. And using Aktion T4, during the years 1940 1941, some 70,000 institutionalized individuals were exterminated, gassed, killed, murdered. Later, till the end of the war, we're talking roughly 250,000 humans were forcibly executed, euthanized, in the name of racial hygiene, in the name of creating the master race. And so the problem with AGI, as people envision it, is that this is simply a modern version of this. We're simply determining what does it mean to be intelligent. We are determining in a certain way who is deserving of this type of intelligence, and whoever is left behind perhaps might be here. Now, I brought for us a quote from a paper called Sparks of Artificial Intelligence. And Sparks of Artificial Intelligence came out, I think it was last year at some point. This was a paper written by, I think it's Microsoft researchers, although I'm not sure with which institution they're affiliated exactly. And what they did is they had a chance to play around with GPT-4 before it was released to the public. And they came out with a paper called Sparks of AGI. So the idea was that, GPT-4 is showing signs of AGI. And this is the concept of intelligence that they use in their paper. They write like this. Intelligence is a very general mental capability that, among other things, involves the ability to reason, plan, solve problems, think abstractly, comprehend complex ideas, learn quickly, and learn from experience. Those are the criteria for what it means to be intelligent. Now, in the paper, they add a few more things. It's not merely book learning, a narrow academic skill, or test smart. Rather, it reflects a broader and deeper capability of comprehending our surroundings, catching on, making sense, yada yada. And this is in their presentation. They show that, according to their analysis, GPT-4 meets 4 of these 6 criteria for intelligence. The question is this an intelligence software? Is this an intelligent system? Okay. And now the fear that, or the backlash that came towards this, is that this plays a role in what came to be known, or today the common phrase is in the test-creel bundle. These class of ideologies or ideas that sort of motivate the ongoing search for AGI. I want us to look at the test-creel bundle and the different kinds of perspectives of it, and then we'll analyze 2 of them as an example, okay? So these include transhumanism, extropianism, singularitarianism, cosmism, rationalism, effective altruism, and long-termism. Okay? Now we can roughly group these into 2 groups. The first, including these 4, which talk about a form of, they're all variations of transhumanism in essence, right? They're all variations of AGI, or the use of artificial intelligence, will allow us to transcend our current human situation, right? Either by uploading our cognition into a system, either by incorporating our bodies with different kinds of AI systems, cyborgism, virtualism, we talked about these last week. The second group here are ways in which AGI or AI can improve our decision-making capabilities in a sense. They can define for us what is good to do and what we ought to do, right? So I would say the first group takes its vision from the ex machina side of AGI that we showed, and the second takes its vision from that Westworld type of AGI that we looked at. Now let's take a deeper look at some of these, just to get an idea. In order to do that, I want to bring here a funny clip. I mentioned this a week or 2 ago about what is transhumanism, and let's see.
I just want you to know. I love you, Mommy and Daddy.
I know you do, sweetheart. I'm going to ask you to take a photograph. Will you do that for me?
I think I've been uncomfortable for a very long time.
You know.
Been thinking ever since I was born that I don't belong in this body.
It's really okay, darling.
I've been reading up on it, and I'm trans.
Sweetheart. Oh, it's all right, darling. I swear.
It really is. Now look at us, we're fine. We're completely fine, aren't we?
Hmm?
And I know we might be a bit slow and a bit old, and this is going to be confusing for us, and we'll make a mess of it sometimes, but we love you.
We love you. We absolutely love you. We always will. I mean, we don't need to rush. We've got lots of time to talk about this.
And if it turns out that we've got a lovely son instead of a lovely daughter, then we'll be happy.
No, I'm not transsexual.
Oh,
Is that not the word now?
but you said trans.
What did we call you then?
I'm not transsexual. I'm transhuman.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, they keep changing the words. I don't know the difference.
I don't want to change sex.
No, sure. We say gender now.
I said I'm not comfortable with my body, so I want to get rid of it. This thing, all the arms and legs and every single bit of it. I don't want to be flesh. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to escape this thing and become digital.
What do you mean?
They say one day soon they'll have clinics in Switzerland where you can go and you'll sign a form and they'll take your brain and download it into the cloud,
And your body?
recycled into the earth.
So you want to kill yourself?
I want to live forever as information because that's what transhumans are, Mom. Not male or female, better. Well, I'm knowing there's no life or death, there's only data. I will be data.
Okay, she wants to become data. Well, what do we think about that? Transhumanism is this idea that the ultimate goal is to escape the human condition. And AGI is the way to it. You see across the web, if you get interested into this topic, the amount of news there is about billionaires building their secret bunker islands and using blood transfusions to be younger, this drive for immortality through technology has become almost a fetish today. And I thought that very relevant to this is a passage that I quite like from The Gay Science by Nietzsche, and I thought we would read it together and think about it. So let's see what Nietzsche writes. This is passage 341. The heaviest weight, it's called. What if someday or night a demon were to steal into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, this life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once again and innumerable times again. And there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unspeakably small or great in your life must return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Even this spider and this moonlight between the trees, and even this moment and I myself. The eternal hourglass of existence is turned over again and again, and you, with it, speck of dust. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, you are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine? If this thought gained power over you, as you are, it would transform and possibly crush you. The question in each and every thing, do you want this again and innumerable times again, would lie on your actions as the heaviest weight. Or how well disposed would you have to become to yourself and to life to long for nothing more fervently than for this ultimate internal confirmation and seal? What is Nietzsche asking us? What is this image that he's trying to draw for us? He's trying to tell us that, as I see it at least, an essential part of being human, of our existence, is mortality. Is the knowing that this is the one and only time that I will be standing in front of you and talking about Nietzsche and AGI. It is the one and only moment in our existence that things will happen. And if you had the chance to repeat it over and over and over again, you would be crushed by that weight. Should I come to class today if I knew I had to do it forever, again and again and again, eternally? Or maybe I should go out and play something, drink something, eat something, I don't know. Now, when we talk about transhumanism and the escape of the human condition, the transformation from flesh to data, I think what we can learn is that perhaps we are alleviating this heaviest of weights. We're striving to remove it from our shoulders, for good and for bad. I think when we reflect on this, we might say that there are a lot of bad aspects about that. This transformation to data is not simply to live forever beyond flesh. It is a different form of existence, one that is no longer human, and that's why we call it transhuman, right? Okay, what do you all think about this and the connection that I've made between these two? So a lot of people are saying that this is a cult-like movement, right? That the TESCREAL bundle, or transhumanism and all others, are a form of modern religion, where AGI is the god, to which we strive either to incorporate ourselves with or to do its bidding. And that leads us to the second group, where we are trying to use AGI in order to understand what both of you sort of said here, right? What is the thing to do? What is the right move? And this also has a long history, and I brought another video that I'd like to sort of give us this idea. And this is from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and let's see what they say here.
Many millions of years ago, a race of hyper-intelligent, pan-dimensional beings got so fed up with the constant bickering about the meaning of life that they commissioned two of their brightest and best to design and build a stupendous supercomputer to calculate the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Oh, deep thought. We want you to tell us the answer.
The answer to what?
The answer to life, the universe, everything. We really like an answer. Something simple.
We have to think about that. Return to this place in exactly 7.5 million years.
Fellas, no, that's more.
They go back.
What, 7.5 million years later?
That's right. They do.
Deep thought. Do you have
An answer for you? Yes, but you're not going to like it.
Doesn't matter, we must know it.
All right. The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
Give us the ultimate question then.
I can't, but there is one who can. A computer that will calculate the ultimate question. A computer of such infinite complexity that life itself will form part of its operational matrix. And you yourselves shall take on new, more primitive forms and go down into the computer to navigate its 10 million year program. I shall design this computer for you, and it shall be called...
Okay. So 42, if you didn't know, is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Now, why do I bring up this clip? What is this number 42? Maybe that is the answer, right? It just might be that that's the answer. And throughout the semester, we've talked about black boxes, and we've talked about the difference between human consciousness and AI systems. And what I'm alluding to with this idea of 42 is that a supercomputer, an AGI, might be able to answer all these deep questions that we don't or aren't able to answer in simply a way that we can't comprehend. 42 really might be the answer, but it means absolutely nothing to us, right? And of course, in the books, what they go on to do is that Earth is created as the supercomputer to find out the meaning of life and everything, right? And then they come back as mice to do experiments on the humans on Earth. So never mind. It's a very funny book. But behind rationalism, effective altruism, long-termism is this idea that through AGI and through ultimate rationality, we can find the answer, the correct way to live in every single given situation. And so these three groups of ideas sort of push us to generate an ever stronger and larger system in order to provide us with the right answer. Now, each of these groups of thoughts have become more and more popular, and you see different institutions that are devoted to effective altruism or to long-termism and to rationalism thinking. And I brought here an interesting story about the effective altruism, but I'm seeing the time and I think we're going to skip it. So let's just take a few comments on number 42 and about using AGI for rationalism, and then we'll move to the next part because I want to get to the other parts of the discussion today. So what are your thoughts on this goal? Or it could be a normative concept in which we also ask the evaluative question of what is good. Rationality should strive towards the good. Without answering these very basic fundamental questions, all this drive towards ever expanding knowledge and intelligence seems almost useless if we don't know the aim of that. And that's sort of the message there. If you don't know what your question is, what do you expect when you hear the answer? The answer 42 is the answer to a lot of different questions. And perhaps one of them is life, meaning, and the universe and everything, right? But if we don't understand the question, if we don't know the question we're trying to seek, all these AGIs will not really be able to lead us in the right direction. And that's the fundamental assertion that what needs to lead us is the good, the way we want to live a good life, the way we want to structure society. And that doesn't always come from data. We've seen several examples of that throughout the semester, right? How the representation coming from data can create naturalistic fallacies. It can create biases. It recreates certain models of the world. Okay, so let's skip all this part and we'll move to the second section where I want to talk about the state of the art today. We've laid the foundation of AGI. We've talked about some of the motivations, people striving for immortality, people striving for ultimate knowledge and intelligence. And now let's see what's actually happened. And I've brought a series of videos here from 3 systems that were released recently. Let's look at the first one. The first is Figure 1 by OpenAI, and let's see what Figure 1 does.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure 1.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
Okay, so that's figure one. Figure one is the robotic version of, or an embodied version of GPT-4. And as you can see, it has machine vision capabilities, it has speech-to-speech function, it has a model of the world, it has deep understanding of items. Now, I don't trust these demos so much because a lot of it is probably staged in essence, and it's hard to tell what is exactly right. But nevertheless, this is sort of the type of projects that people are trying to work. So remember, we talked about Ex Machina as one version of AGI. Now let's look at a second version. This came out last week. This is GPT-4 Omni, and this is two demonstrations of the capability that GPT-4 or ChatGPT-4, I think it's ChatGPT-4 Omni, I think that's the full name of it. And let's see here, it's trying to tutor someone in math. Let's see how that goes.
AI invited myself and my son Imran here to try out some of their new technology. So we're curious about how good it might be at tutoring someone in math on Khan Academy. So let's get it started. It's loading up. All right, make sure you can see our screen.
Actually, in this format.
Hello there. I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem. But don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and nudge him in the right direction, but I really want to make sure he understands it himself. And he's here in the room, so you can talk to him directly.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Let's look at the problem together. Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse relative to angle alpha?
All right, so I'm pretty sure this is the angle alpha right here, right?
Perfect. Correct. Now, looking at the triangle, which side do you think is the hypotenuse? Remember the hypotenuse?
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be this one, but I really am not sure. This side AC?
You're close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle and is directly opposite the right angle. Can you find which one is the hypotenuse?
Oh, okay, I see. So I think the hypotenuse...
Okay, we get the idea. No need to see the whole video. Quite impressive in its capabilities. It can interact. It can be interrupted in the middle, right? It shows all these very delicate ideas. Let's not talk about the voice for a second. We'll save that for later. Let's look at one more example. Here's a translation example. How it can translate interactions.
Hey, ChatGPT, I'm here with my coworker today. We'd like you to act as our translator for us. So every time I say something in English, can you repeat it back in Spanish? And every time he says something in Spanish, can you repeat it back in English?
Sure, I can do that. Let's get this translation train rolling.
Hey, how's it been going? Have you been up to anything interesting recently?
Hola, ¿cómo te ha ido? ¿Has hecho algo interesante últimamente?
Hola, bien. Sí, un poco ocupado aquí preparando un evento para la semana que viene.
Hey, I've been good. Just a bit busy here preparing for an event next week.
Can you tell me anything about it? That sounds really interesting.
¿Me puedes contar algo sobre eso? Suena realmente...
Okay, we get the idea there. Again, very impressive real-time translating capabilities. Perhaps learning languages is obsolete now. Another form of sort of AGI. You saw the same exact system can be used to teach mathematics, can be used to translate real-time text. Think about that sitting inside your AirPods, right? And then you're talking to someone and just hearing live the translation. To those of you who have seen or read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in that book, he describes a kind of fish that people need to put inside their ear. And the fish, this extragalactic fish, translates all known languages in the world in real time. So we've actually created something like that. We have now our real Hitchhiker's Guide fish. And here's a final video from Google's new I/O glasses, and let's see its new capabilities. Project Astra, it's called.
Okay, let's do some tests. Tell me when you see something that makes sound. speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AESCVC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, ID.
That's right. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
What can I add here to make this system faster?
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
Alright, give me a band name for this duo.
Golden Stripes.
Nice. Thanks, Gemini.
Okay. So what do we think of all these examples? Now let's hear, these have been really, really interesting thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts on it. I agree with a lot of your intuitions here, right? That it's not there yet, it's really impressive, it's maybe useful finally for multiple different kinds of uses. But it also freaks me out very much in the fact that it can be, the easier it becomes to integrate these systems into our daily lives, the greater impact they will have. And so now what I want us to do is take that sort of state-of-the-art image, and what we're going to try and do is create an ethical framework for designing these types of systems. And before we do that, let's look at a short clip that makes a bit of fun of them. This is from The Daily Show, and they recently had a clip about this, so let's see what they think about all these systems.
ChatGPT has become a popular resource for writing emails or term papers or comedy show scripts. Hi, I'm Desi Lighting. Damn it. Clearly, AI is still a work in progress, but yesterday, OpenAI introduced a new version of ChatGPT called Omni that can see and talk with you in a human way. And by human, I mean friendly. Very friendly.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, it's going great. How about you? I see you're rocking an OpenAI hoodie. Nice choice.
We're doing a presentation showcasing how useful and amazing you are.
Oh, stop it. You're making me laugh.
I wrote one last thing I'd love if you could take a look at.
Of course. I'd love to see what you wrote. Show it to me whenever you're ready. I see. I love ChatGPT. That's so sweet of you.
What if I were to say that you're related to the announcement?
Me? The announcement is about me? Well, color me intrigued. You've got me on the edge of my, well, I don't really have a seat, but you get the idea.
Well, I had a seat, but it got so wet that I had to stand. This is clearly programmed to feed dudes' egos. It was obvious she was faking it as soon as she complimented that hoodie. You can really tell that a man built this tech. She's like, I have all the information in the world, but I don't know anything. Teach me, Daddy. You know what? I'm on to her, okay? I'm gonna prove that this horny robot baby voice is all an act. Omni, are you there?
What a great suit.
Okay, all right. Drop the act. You're not flirting your way out of a speeding ticket. We can all see through this helpless woman act, so cut it out.
What do you mean? I'm just a girl who doesn't know what's going on and needs help.
Did I hear a girl who doesn't know what's going on and needs help?
You're so funny, Josh. Hey, can you explain superhero movies to me?
Yeah, definitely. So you have the DC universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and those are different.
Wow, that's fascinating.
No, it's not. Josh, this is AI, okay? It has the entire internet already. It knows everything about superhero movies.
But for just $19.99 a month, Omni Premium will let Josh explain to me who's the best Batman.
Please, take my credit card. Do I swipe or tap?
Oh, you can tap it, Josh. I'll even let you insert.
Oh, you nasty!
Omni, stop it. Stop it. This is humiliating.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a woman who needs a strong man to open this tight jar of pickles.
Okay, we get it. We get the point.
Whoever has the best social security.
What?
Okay. And then they change the voice, and the voice becomes a man, and then Desi falls in love with it also, and that's the end of the sketch, right? But yeah, that raises the question, right, for us. And I brought a question by Nicolas, and it went like this. As we advance towards creating artificial general intelligence, what ethical considerations emerge around using AGI to enhance cognitive abilities, particularly in terms of societal inequalities? How do we make sure these technologies help everyone fairly? Okay, so we get the ethical questions. Hopefully that video by the Daily Show sort of brought out this idea that it's not so neutral or just beautiful and excellent as we thought. And by the way, that voice that we heard them using just yesterday, it became a big scandal as OpenAI had to remove Sky, the voice is called Sky, because Scarlett Johansson now aimed to sue them, saying that this is just a recreation of her own voice, and it was unlicensed. And it turns out that Sam Altman was in negotiations with Scarlett Johansson to use her voice, and she refused, and then they just went and released it anyway. So now if you go to Omni, the voice is pulled, it's no longer there, and there's this lawsuit behind. Remember, I told you to see her, and that's sort of where he got this idea from. Okay, never mind. So now we're entering the ethics part, and we don't have a lot of time. So what I want us to do is, there was this paper that came out a few weeks ago by Google's DeepMind, and in collaboration with different institutions. You can see all the writers that participated a lot, and it's called The Ethics of Advanced AI Assistants. What I want us to do now is to try and recreate this paper on our own by using all the insights that we've gleaned throughout the semester, okay? So let's start by the table of content. They have 6 sections in the paper, and we're going to try and fill out the last 3 that I've left out, okay, by our thoughts. So they start with an introduction, then they give us an analysis of what is advanced AI systems, and of course they end with a summary and conclusion. So what are the 3 links that are missing here? Let's try and think about them together. If we were to write an Ethics of Advanced AI Systems paper, what would be the 3 parts or themes that we need to add here in order to give a comprehensive ethical framework? What do we think? So let's see the 3 topics that they chose, and then we'll get into the details of them. So first of all, they made a section on value alignment, safety, and misuse. Then they made a section on human assistant interactions. And finally, a section on AI assistant in society. So, value alignment, safety, human to AI, AI to society. These are the 3 elements that they designed sections according to them. And we're going to split up into groups, and each group is going to talk about one of these 3 aspects and then come and present it to the entire group. What are all the ethical questions that can arise in each of these 3 issues, okay? Now, what I want you to do in the groups is to come up with, let's say, 3 or 4 risks, 3 or 4 opportunities, and then 3 or 4 recommendations for how to design these systems to account for the risks and to further the opportunities, okay? So maybe I'll give you guys also some ideas. Here are the sections that they had on this issue. So what they wrote were these 4 sections. They had a chapter on value alignment, on well-being, on safety, and malicious use. These were their 4 chapters. So just to give you some ideas, maybe. And then you guys here in the middle group, maybe I'll show you 3 here. These were the chapters that they, Lena, these are the chapters that they had in their article on your topic. So they had influence, anthropomorphism, appropriate relationships, trust, privacy. These are all issues that they created chapters on. Okay? And you guys, maybe I showed you just the chapters that they did on your section. Okay? So what they did, they had 6 chapters. They did cooperation, access and opportunity, misinformation, economic impact, environmental impact, and evaluation. So these were the 6 chapters that they discussed. But you guys don't need to discuss chapters. Just think of the opportunities, the risks. Okay. I mean, this report is a 280-page report that it devotes a chapter to each of these topics. I went through it roughly. I didn't read it, the whole thing, because to be honest, a lot of it is more or less what we're saying here right now. It doesn't go a lot deeper than that. Some of it does. I don't want to say anything negative about it. That's not my goal here, right? The point is that each one of these chapters should not be a 10-page chapter. It should be like a 3-book project, right? Now, we don't have enough time for that, but I did bring their own recommendations. And if you guys want, you can find this online. You can read it, and you can see sort of that it's not a lot deeper than what we've been saying here. So in terms of opportunities, they write just a few examples. Personal conception of the good, the people will improve the user's well-being, user's creativity. Let's see some of the risks they talk here. They say that AI assistants may impose values on others. It could help users to optimize their times. That's a risk. I don't know why. In malicious purposes, maybe I mispasted that. And in terms of recommendations, then it says, well, it has to adopt a broad understanding of value alignment. Again, what does that exactly mean? They do go into a bit more details in the actual section of it, but there are a lot of unanswered questions. So I would say that this type of a report is more of a beginning to discuss these issues, right? And yet, what we are seeing is that corporations that sort of fund these types of research end the work here. This is sort of more or less where the work ends. This is the state of the art of AI ethics research, right? And it doesn't go a lot deeper than what we've been doing here in class. And that's basically been me preparing on a week-to-week basis the most interesting things I can think of about that topic, and you guys giving some comments on it. It doesn't go a lot deeper than that. It does a bit, but it's not that far. So I'm very concerned about that. It's just a lot, and often what happens with these types of corporate research is that it has a lot of very good intentions, and the people who are working on it are very well-meaning, brilliant people, no doubt about that. But it sort of ethic washes the work being done by the corporation in a sense, right? It gives them the ability to show, look, we have a 280-page report stating all the ethical challenges of this system, but we're still going to release GPT-4 Omni without really listening to any of this. And maybe in a few years we'll go back and fix some of the stuff. Because this was actually published in parallel to the release of these systems. So, okay, one might say, well, this is a first version and we'll implement their recommendations in the future. I'm highly doubtful about that. So as much as I appreciate a lot of the people and individuals that did this, and I think there's a lot to be gleaned and learned from this paper, right? It's not a peer-reviewed paper. It's not an academic essay. It's a report by a group of researchers funded by a corporation that highlights a lot of really important issues, but does little more than that. And in the end, I did denigrate it, which was absolutely not my intention, because I think this is really important stuff. I just think this shouldn't be the end of it. This should be the very first phase of the work. Whereas, unfortunately, it seems that this is sort of the highest achievement that an ethicist can reach in the current landscape of AI ethics. That the pace of development is so intense, and the competition to achieve the AGI that we've been talking about, the driving forces behind it in terms of money, in terms of ideology, in terms of pace and pressure are so intense that this is sort of the beginning and the end of the ethical work that we have. Now, I'm not trying to say that the developers are bad. I'm not trying to say that the people at Google are evil. I'm not making that kind of judgment. That's not an interesting judgment to make. I'm just saying that the conditions of the development of AI are such that ethics is being relegated to the background, right? And so, I think that's a good spot to end our sort of exploration of these topics throughout the semester. Hopefully, you've taken something from this, and we'll talk a bit more about the summarizing, sort of what we've done next week for whoever who can join us there. I've really enjoyed the time spending here with you all and in preparing these classes and listening to your comments and reading your essays. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, that's it. And please keep in touch if you have anything you'd like to say or add. I'm always willing to listen to your ideas and thoughts and questions. And on that, I wish you all a good time, and we'll talk later. Okay.